I do a lot of work on the regulation of new technologies and ethical issues surrounding them. Geoengineering, I think, exemplifies a lot of ethical issues that come up whenever emerging technologies are discussed. And these centre on a paradox central to new technologies, being that they tend to bring in their wake all sorts of uncertainties, yet at the same time they promise us all kinds of control over the world in which we live. And a nice way of expressing this was come up with by a chap called David Collingridge about 30 years ago. His is a so-called control dilemma. Basically, the earlier on we are in the adoption of a technology, the less we know about it. The further down the line we are, then, and the more we know about it, the more embedded it is and the more irreversible its effects tend to be. We're at a point with geoengineering where we're in a position of great uncertainty, and we need to figure out how to make legitimate decisions, ethically right decisions about geoengineering in that condition where we don't know too much about the possible consequences. We need to differentiate perhaps between different forms of engineering on the basis of whether they will be containable on the one hand. For instance, some of the ways that people have proposed for reducing carbon may be more containable than the solar radiation management versions of geoengineering. On the other hand, we need to know that if they are in fact uncontainable, they will have effects that are irreversible further down the line. A lot of technologies that we use, we've discovered after using them for decades, have problems that were completely unanticipated and which are now irreversible. And this has come about mainly through the fact that because they're used all over the world, they are kind of uncontained. We've had that with DDT, with the overuse of antibiotics, with lead in petrol, and with hormone disrupting chemicals. We need to think about these issues when we're thinking about whether or not to employ geoengineering. And the crucial issue here, I think, is that first of all, we're in a situation of great uncertainty, but secondly, we know that through our use of technology, we can impact the conditions under which future generations of humans and non-humans will live in often quite fundamental ways. And the German philosopher Hans Jonas pointed out that this places us in a really difficult position because we have great power, and as we know, with great power is supposed to come great responsibility, but we don't know necessarily how we should fulfill that responsibility. And geoengineering in a way looks attractive from an ethical point of view because it gives us a way of thinking about a method, a set of methods or whatever we can employ to hopefully can remediate the environmental situation for future generations. And so it's attractive from that point of view. It appears to be a way of fulfilling our obligations to future generations. But at the same time, we're still in this position of great uncertainty, and so we need to think seriously about the ethical principles and values we use to shape our actions in the present. Because ultimately, Jonas's point is that our foresight doesn't extend as far as our reach in terms of the actions that we take.